Hi, I'm Charles with Anime Recap. Today I'm going to explain the psychological thriller called Arachne Sign of Vermilion. Spoilers ahead. The film begins in what looks to be a psych ward with several patients standing in a room. A doctor can be heard explaining that a patient is showing a tendency to continually tilt their head towards their left shoulder, as well as having brown marks on their body. He speaks of how the patient has a disease and that the patient experiences delusions, confusion, and hallucinations. The patient then goes mad, killing a nurse, and has wild visions of giant bugs. He comes out of his hallucinations to see that everyone in the room has been dismembered. We then get a glimpse of a creature that emerges from the shadows to attack the patient. In the next scene, we are shown a schoolgirl that is dead on the ground with her head severely tilted toward her left shoulder. There is a mysterious figure that seems to be inspecting her as a moth hovers over her. Later, we are introduced to the shy and anxious university student named Rin. She is excited to see that the apartment she had been wanting to get is still available. After renting the apartment, however, she finds that it is hardly the sunny place the rental listing suggested. The housing complex is grim and run down. She expresses her displeasure out loud, but unfortunately it is to no one in particular. As Rin makes her way through the entrance of the eerie complex, she pauses by a mysterious man observing a beetle. She is frightened as the beetle squirms and shocked when she sees that maggots burst from its body. The mysterious man just watched her the entire time, and neither of them said a single word to each other. Once Rin actually enters the apartment, we are shown a woman that seems to be in great distress as she continually scratches an open wound on her arm. She can be heard mumbling the words, the bugs came inside." Rin can't take it anymore and just sprints to her apartment. In her apartment, she takes some pills and attempts to fall asleep. She is forced to turn on the television as there are too many eerie noises keeping her awake. After falling asleep, we are shown on the news that a young woman's dead body was found bleeding from the neck somewhere near the complex. The next scene is a glimpse into what seems to be a murder. A woman is screaming as she falls off a bridge, and we are shown a mysterious person who seems to be the culprit. On Rin's way back from school, she has a vision of her own death. She finds a park to regather her composure and take her pills. A dancing girl that Rin was just watching would then introduce herself as Nasua. The two then discuss the dangerous things happening around the area. Nasua says that she heard the murderer is being called the savior on the internet because he purifies souls. She also claims that a mysterious group is responsible for keeping back curses and other bad things normal people can't see. She continues the rumor by stating that one of the members was banished after breaking their law. Upon arriving back at the complex, Rin sees that a body is being taken away in a stretcher. To her horror, she watches as a large bug bursts out of the person's arm and retreats to a sewer drain, but no one else seems to notice at all. After the body is taken away, Rin sees the mysterious man that was staring at the beetle again. Later, Rin walks through a library inside the complex when she spots a book that catches her interest. She instinctually grabs the book only to be surprised by a vision of several insects swarming the area. When she drops the book out of fright, it just so happens to open to a page showing a person with a bug bursting out of their arm. A man helps her up and notices the name of the book called Spirit Bugs. The man suspects that she can see the bugs and requests to have a conversation with Rin. She accepts, and the two sit to discuss what is going on with the bugs. Rin remarks that she believes her medication is the cause for the dreams and the things she imagines. The man says that may not be the case, and that the ancients believed that there were bugs called spirit bugs that live within people. It is said that these bugs travel between this world and the next, judging the worth of souls. He tells her that she is not the only one to see them, and that many who have seen them before are now dead. He shows her a drawing of a bug and tells her to be cautious of this one specifically, as it meant death for the person who drew it. Rin is flustered by the drawing and leaves immediately. As she walks back to her apartment, a mysterious figure appears behind her and begins to chase after her with an electric saw. She manages to run into an apartment and lock the door behind her. The mysterious figure attempts to saw through the door but fails. Rin explores the eerie apartment but is then captured by the figure. Oddly enough, when she wakes up, she is back in her own apartment. While peering over her balcony, she notices the girl from the park, Nasua, entering the complex. She tries to follow her in an attempt to discuss the odd things that are happening, but begins to have some sort of painful attack that causes her to have an unclear vision and then collapse. She later wakes up to see that she is being watched by the mysterious man from the beginning of the film, who introduces himself as Seon. He says that he is an observer of insects with the goal of mastering their rituals. When Rin notices that her pills are missing, Seon says that they are not good for her, and he threw them away. Seeing how he upset her, he offers her a necklace saying that it will protect her and that she should not go to that part of the complex ever again, as it is dangerous. Later, in her room, Rin does some research on the recent killings. She sees that all the bodies have broken necks in the same way, but it appears that all the necks were broken after they were already dead. When looking into why this could be, she discovers a deleted article with the title stating that the murdered bodies match the description of a mysterious disease that struck her area 40 years ago. Upon further research, she finds that 40 years ago the disease was referred to as the tilting sickness, and that those that had it would suffer a mutation of their cervical vertebrae. Interviews revealed that many sufferers of the illness had made contact with red moths, leading to a large-scale extermination. The cause of the incident, however, was not found. In a brief scene, we are shown Sion exploring the apartment Rin had been chased into earlier when he is attacked by an unrevealed object on the ceiling. Elsewhere, Rin crosses paths with Nasua as she dances as usual, but this time Rin feels like something is different, only to ignore her intuition and move on. Later though, she realizes the difference was that Nasua had a tilt in her neck. After this realization, she runs out of her apartment in search of her friend. Upon finding Nasua, she sees that she is covered in red moths. Rin knocks off the red moths and pleads for her friend to go to the hospital, only to be ignored. After following her friend, she finds her in a warehouse, but now her neck has a pretty severe tilt, and something is clearly wrong. Just then, the mysterious figure with the saw appears behind Rin. Rin is being rushed from both sides when blood is splashed after Nasua's head is cut off. In shock, Rin attacks the man, but he reveals to her that he just saved her from what is called a dead soldier. He explains that these soldiers first notice someone is about to die, then their head begins to tilt, and then their spirit bugs leave their body, which becomes this unkillable monster. He says that someone is creating these dead soul soldiers, and it is up to him to find this person. Just then, a car comes crashing into the warehouse, running over and killing the man. Rin is next seen exploring the same room Sion went missing in, and eventually finds Nasua. She hugs Nasua, but Nasua pushes her into a hole in the bathtub. She awakes to find that she had landed on a pile of corpses and goes into a panic. As she explores further, she realizes that the ceiling is covered in red moths. After a short moment of panic, she begins to take action by piling up corpses so that she can reach an air vent she spotted. After exiting the vent, she enters a room where she discovers a film of the experiments from 40 years ago that revealed the disease was not the cause, but the creation of these soldiers was intentional. While she is distracted, one of the corpses becomes reanimated and makes its way towards her location. The corpse has now become a full-on monster and startles her, leading to a chase. Just as she is seemingly about to die, the necklace given to her by Sion makes a noise distracting the creature long enough for her to get away. Just then, a blue moth similar to the one that surrounded Sion earlier flies into the monster's mouth, destroying it as Rin falls to a lower floor. Here she finds the dead body of the man she met in the library. While staring at the body in horror, she is stabbed in the chest by a woman in a red dress. Later, Rin awakens to see that she has been strapped to an odd-looking machine. While on this machine, she has a vision of odd bugs crawling on her and overrunning the city. She then has a flashback to her youth where a black-haired girl gets hit by a blonde-haired girl, which leads to her pushing the blonde-haired girl and making her fall. After having this vision, Rin begins to turn back time to when she was stabbed, and she gains the ability to blow up the lady in the red dress. She then grows wings as the building explodes. Back to the flashback, it is explained that both the black and blonde-haired girl are named Rin. They are shown to be the very best of friends. Unfortunately, the black-haired Rin's mother hates her and abuses her. One day, when the two Rins have a fight, black-haired Rin pushes blonde-haired Rin, knocking her over and putting her into a coma. We are later shown blonde-haired Rin has grown up and awakens from her coma, perhaps implying that she was in a coma the entire film, only to begin falling into a dark abyss. Dark-haired Rin catches her, though, and apologizes, saying that she was just jealous. Black-haired Rin is then consumed by the darkness instead. In the final scene, we see that someone awakens to see that a bunch of large bugs have overrun the city. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment with what anime movie you'd like me to recap next.